Good morning and welcome back to our show In Their Shoes, which is really, as I mentioned last week, about looking through the lens of empathy, hearing stories from people that you would not normally hear from, the entrepreneurs and the up-and-coming generation, which brings me to today's episode, which is super close to my heart, and I'm sitting with two very special people, and I've known them, I've known Millad for maybe like a month now, but I've known Ilham for a long time, and I will introduce them both and let them talk about their journey. But I think before that, let's just put today's chat into context, right? So we're talking about the concept of refugee entrepreneurs, and just before we said that we don't really like the word refugee because of it's not necessarily very human way to describe humans who are displaced. And I just kind of went through UN's refugees numbers last night, and these are the latest numbers. So we're now obviously witnessing the highest levels of displacement of humans on record. An unprecedented 70 million people around the world have been forced from their home for multiple reasons. And about 25 million of them are under 18, so there's kids and, under the age of 18, which is quite sad. And out of those, only 92,000 are resettled in nations. And in New Zealand, our quota is about 1,000. So we have 1,000 people every year, of which 2 of them are sitting here. And I think that is very special. And they are very young, and they've got stories to tell. And I'm going to be very happy to bring these stories to you. But I'll start with a little bit of intro, and then we'll dive into what you guys do. So Ilham, I've met her through the Empower Youth Mentoring Program, which is, it was set up by Rez Gardi, and she sort of thought about ways to get people in the country to mentor the incoming ex-refugees girls and students and help them navigate our education system. I was very excited about that because the idea of education, bringing people out of whatever they were going through, is a good idea, and help. I wanted to help, and I was like, how do we help? And this was a great way to help. Of course, Ilham does a lot of things, and she's kind of navigated her own way through our school system and university. She's at uni now, and she's always got ideas. Always. We always talk about the amazing tech ideas that she has, and one day we're going to make it happen. But Millad, before I jump into you, Millad will basically, if you haven't already heard of him, he was on TVNZ. He founded Akhlaqii, which I will let him explain a bit more. But if you might have come across the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern's picture or tweet that she had holding this book. That's made by him. So we will get into that and what that means. But first of all, welcome and thank you both for being here. I'm so excited and so happy to have you. And now I will keep quiet and let you tell me a bit more about yourself, right? So we'll start with Ilham. I want to know, basically, how old are you now? Are you?
I'm 20.
20, so that's pretty young. So can you tell us your journey, from when you can remember up until this point? How did you get to this point in your life?
Well, firstly, my journey actually began began in 1980s when the Afghan-Soviet War broke into Afghanistan. And so my family had to flee the war from Afghanistan to Iran. My mum during that time was only 2 years old. However, Iran, it was a nation that wasn't really accepting refugees at that time. And me growing up in that society, we weren't allowed any form of identification. There was literally no kind of form of like passport or birth certificate, stuff like that. So if I was in Iran right now, I wouldn't be receiving education. There's like nothing like that. So we weren't even allowed basic education. And so like basically we were refugees in Iran. And I think in 2005, we were accepted as refugees to New Zealand. One of my uncles, he came here through the ship Tampa. So that allowed us to come, through him like that. So yeah, coming here, it was difficult, it was challenging. And I remember like as a 6-year-old, I was like really never like fitting in school. So like school was really tough for me to tackle, especially, having all these peers that were like, I was so different from them, or my, uni, I'm not uni, but like high school, stuff like that. But yeah, coming at this moment, I remember in like last year of high school, I think I joined Empower. So I had a great mentor, and unfortunately she had to leave. So I'm not really that connected with Empower anymore. I do go to events, and I am in my 3rd year of university. Hopefully I'm going to be graduating, and I think I'm the first woman in my family to graduate from university with a bachelor's degree. So I'm doing creative technologies at the moment. So, and it's like a minor in entrepreneurship. So I'm really, on that path to, start my own business, and I've been networking a lot. I've been going to like series of events. I've joined a lot of other organizations. So I think my story lies there. And as you said, I have a lot of ideas and stuff. But at this moment, I'm just trying to finish my degree and focusing on that and family and stuff before I, step in to the big world.
I think that's so amazing. And obviously you had to be very strong throughout this process. And did you have some really tough times within yourself and your mind? And how did you overcome all those tough moments in school, for example?
So I could actually go on with this, this thing. It's never, ending. And I think it's even the challenges that I faced, I see my younger sisters face right now. And they're just in primary. So imagine if they go to like high school and stuff like that. But, I remember in intermediate, I was the first, girl. I'm like not the first girl, but I was the only girl wearing the hijab. And no one really told me what color hijab I should wear. No one. Until this, this lady came, and she was Pakeha. And she was like the vice principal. And then one day she cornered me, and she's like, you have to wear the school colored uniform. And I was like, at that time I was a child. Like I had no black colored or navy colored scarf. And then she was like telling me like, you can't even wear white or anything. And she just told me without really thinking about what the hijab means. And I remember thinking like all these other girls, they were like, they dye their hair like red or pink or whatever. And she never said anything to them, but she comes and tells me you can't wear like a colorful hijab. Like that was really, I felt like, even now that I didn't really think about it at that time, but now that I reflect back, like that was a different thing, because she had no like knowledge or whatever about what the hijab meant and stuff.
I mean, that's a big thing about like awareness and education, and only multiculturalism can bring about, I think, that change that everybody understands what it means. And like I also know you've got a very large family. Just like a lot of kids and nieces, nephews, and cousins, I believe. Like, how many of them?
I lost count. But yeah, I think majority of the family were actually born in New Zealand. So, so I have like 6 aunties. Actually 5 aunties and 6 uncles, and they're all here. And they all have kids of their own. So it's a huge family, but it's good because you have that little community where you kind of feel comfortable being with. So my family kind of form a community of their own.
That's nice. At least family is so important, and it's core to this being resilient through this process, right? And I mean, of course, now you've got more stories to tell of your future. But Millad, did you face a similar like journey through to New
Yes,
Zealand?
so basically same thing happened with me as well. So my parents, when the Taliban regime came and took our control of Afghanistan, my parents migrated to Iran, and I was born in Iran as well as my
Right.
brother. So basically, we didn't get any kind of birth certificate or anything as well. So, and then we came back to Afghanistan, and my dad started doing business. He got into construction business. So basically, my mom was teaching English at the time as well. So my dad, our situation in Iran was terrible because, you know, being refugee there and not having a proper job and stuff. And then when my dad came to Afghanistan, he built his own construction company, and he was in the he was an entrepreneur as well.
Okay.
And my mom was an English teacher in 2001.
Yeah.
2001 or 2002, she got selected as top 11 English teachers of Afghanistan, and she went to United States to have a dinner with Miss George Bush.
Oh,
And
that's
I
awesome.
think got a photo of her
Oh,
here
that's
as
so
well.
cute.
Yeah. So this is, I don't know if you guys can see. This is
So
her
that's,
photo.
your mom and Laura Bush.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really awesome.
And then she came back from Afghanistan. My dad, everything was running really smoothly for us. And my mom was, when my mom came to Afghanistan, she continued teaching, and had really close relationship with United States Embassy in Afghanistan in Kabul. And that was something that caused problem with us, you know, the trouble between Taliban and United States, and all this stuff was going on. So because of our own safety, we had to become refugees and migrated to Pakistan.
Okay.
So we left everything behind. And yeah, again, as Ilham said, there was a lot of tough times when we went to Pakistan. I had to be empowered myself. I had to pick myself up. We didn't have the same life again, and I kept hearing refugees, refugees. Sometimes people would make comments saying, I was playing football. They would be like, refugees, get out. And then I wouldn't understand, like, what is the meaning of refugee? And then we stayed in Pakistan for 3 years. Again, no education, no school, because of the safety. And it was really difficult to make friends, you know, when you can't go to school. So basically stayed home for a really long time, and then we came to New Zealand at the end of 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how was that? Your whole family came with you?
Yeah, so it was my mom, my dad, and my brother. So only a family
Okay,
of
so
four.
four of
Yes,
you.
four of
Okay,
us are
nice.
here.
And you were the only family unit that
Yeah.
came, no other uncles or
No, we have no other families in
no
New
other
Zealand.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And then you went to school. Was it Auckland?
In Auckland, yes. I started in one of the schools in South Auckland area. And then after that, I changed my house and I went to school in Ormiston Senior College. I graduated from there last year.
That is awesome. Congrats. And I know that it was in Ormiston that you figured out what you wanted to do.
Yes, it was in Ormiston because it came to my came to my realization that the first school I went to was really isolated school, so it was not really diverse. And then whatever the kids would hear in the news about Muslims, about refugees, they would come and ask me, like, make racist comments and ask racist questions. And then I wouldn't understand them at the beginning, and then after a while I kind of started to realize what they were asking and what they were saying. It made me feel unwelcome.
Yeah.
So me and a group of other refugee migrants background students, we said we have to write our stories, we have to educate children about our journeys, we have to tell them what a refugee is. So that's how we started writing Ali's first day at school, and we kind of covered our stories in a character, Ali, coming from Afghanistan to New Zealand.
Okay, so yeah, tell us about this. So this is the book, basically, Ali's first day at school.
That's cool.
Ilham, have you seen it?
I've seen it online.
Yeah, we've definitely all seen it.
Yes.
So yeah, tell me about that. And
Yeah, so again, the whole idea that I said, we're in the classroom for business, for young enterprise. We had to make a business company, a business group. And then I was telling my story. We were all thinking about what to do. And then I was telling my story that how I misunderstood football and soccer. Because in Afghanistan, football is just football, like soccer. And in New Zealand, it's also for rugby. And then I ended up getting tackled in rugby field. And I didn't know what was going on. So my business teacher was like, hey, that's a great idea to put it in a form of a children's book and share that story. And then all of us were like, yes, we should add this. We should add Ali eating food with a hand, talk about cultural value, and kind of combine all our experiences as migrants and refugees and kind of put it in a children's book. And it was really fun and engaging for kids as well. So it wasn't too serious, but still we were educating children about our stories and what a migrant is. But it took off. First month of sales, we sold over 300 copies, and we got a lot of endorsement from media. So yeah, the fan have been really supportive.
that is amazing. And I like that it's done in a very visual way of storytelling, and I think that really helps bring the point across, right? Because then you're like, let's use content in any form to tell our story in a way that's engaging. And so that made you, is that part of, like, so now you've obviously founded Akhlaqii. Tell me more about the company and like what you plan to do with.
Yeah, so we started as a young enterprise company, but then I took a gap year this year, so I decided not to go to university and focus on Akhlaqii full time. So at the moment we're registered as actual company, so we're just looking around for investors and to help us grow to get to the next stage and continue. We already got a partnership with New Zealand Rugby Union because Ali's story was connected to rugby, so they are willing to write the next book with partnership with All Blacks. So that's another event that's coming up and focusing on that as well. So
well, that's amazing. And I know we chatted on the phone a while ago, but we were like, well, you can do a lot with us, and like you can take it to other countries that resettle, you know, displaced people. Have you thought about like some of that?
Yeah, so the thing is, at the moment our whole team is focusing on selling as much as possible into New Zealand markets, sharing our stories as much as possible in New Zealand. And then of course there's heaps of opportunities, and for example United States, the concept of footy and football, Australia and all these other countries that accepts migrants, our book would be acceptable. And we still on our website we get a lot of love from United Kingdom, people commenting, and yeah, so it's really good to see that people are accepting the idea internationally.
Maybe it could be a TV show for kids and schools.
We should pitch to Netflix.
What a great idea. Okay. Yeah, I mean, and you just sort of like talking about this entrepreneurial streak that I feel like is very strong within you both. You just came out of CoJam, right? So tell me about CoJam, what it's about, because I'm not too familiar with what they do.
Yeah, so CoJam was a 2-day workshop, and it was bringing youth from the ages 18 to 24 from across Auckland together, so from like local, refugee backgrounds, stuff like that. So it was kind of like teaching them the journey of refugees, and then they emphasize and then kind of create like a business model or something like to pitch back to kind of help the sense of inclusiveness in Aotearoa, stuff like that. So in the end, there was like 4 groups, I think, we pitched, and the prize was 10K. Wow. So yeah, so the group that won was actually creating a platform where when refugee resettled community came in, they were able to go through the process of just going through the marae and learning about, you know, the Maori culture, stuff like that. So it was really good. It was a good experience. It was like 2 full-on days from 8 to like 6. But yeah, it was good. It was good. Like I was able to network, and then, you know, our group came up with like a brilliant idea as well. And I have like, you know, I was able to network with some people, and then we're going to take it to the next step of maybe like getting funding for it and stuff like that. So starting up. And
CoJam, is that a international thing that comes to New Zealand? Or
no. The North Foundation, they were they created this event for youth, so they can, you know, because of what happened in the Christchurch, the series of the attack. So it was kind of like a response saying, like, you know, the youth have a voice and, you know, finding a solution like for inclusiveness and belonging. And I think it was a great way to like get that. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And like for you, you could have gone through any of the courses at uni. Like, you know, how did you decide it was creative tech?
Creative tech.
Plus
yeah, I was actually the first. So I was top in art for 3 consecutive years in high school, and it was actually my first year of taking art in year 1, and I actually became like top in art, so it was like really like cool and stuff, and so was year 2 and year 3 of high school, so NCA I meant, and I was really close with my art teacher, and initially I wanted to do engineering, but he kept on saying, no, there's more to you than just engineering, and I guess like when I did apply, I got into like engineering and AUT, and I also wanted to get into computer science, stuff like that, so I applied and I got in into fine arts at AU, but I asked around, like, you know, it was computer science actually for me, But people are like, they kept saying like weird stuff, like, you know, how I see it is the future, you have 5 days of working and you hate it, and then 2 days of resting, and, you know, like that kind of stuff. And then I had like another friend I asked, you know, she did computer science, and I was like, oh, how was it? And she's like, oh my God, if you don't catch up with your work within the first 2 weeks, then you're lost, like, you know, it's out for you. So I was like, oh, okay. So I was actually like told to do creative technology by a friend, because it involved a lot of multidisciplinary, like, you know, stuff in it. So it was a diverse range of, like, we had computer science, engineering, design, and business all together and wrapped up. Wow. So I was like, that's like the best kind of wrap for me. Personally, I really enjoyed like that kind of stuff.
Because I like that. It's it's going to be a foundation for everything that because you have your creative element inside you. I've seen some of your paintings and illustrations and like your graphics. I've seen them and they're very beautiful. And the other thing I remember is also before, like, you were, or maybe while you were at uni, you would like come up with these designs of like prototypes of tech that you would think the world needs. And then, I mean, of course, you're like a young student, and the thing that's funny is that the next day or next few months, I actually would see that in real life, like someone is making it somewhere. You know?
Yeah, like that happened to me because I used to work at KFC, and I, you know, came up, you know, walking to KFC, and I used to see like people lined up for KFC, like. It was packed. There were days where we actually ran out of chicken, like that packed. And then the families would just come and then literally wait in line and then just leave. Like they wouldn't even eat here. They'll just take it away. Okay. I was like saying, oh, like just walking to, you know, work one day and say, oh, like it could be like so good if there was like a system where you just ordered and then someone just like took it, like Uber, for example. And this is like back in 2015. And Uber Eats back then, I don't think it was, I don't know. Like at that time, I didn't even know Uber Eats existed or anything. But at that time, I also didn't have a car. So like I just walked to work and I was like, yeah, like that's good. I'll just like, you know, it was just an idea. And then it literally became real a few months later, but with Lazy As. So it was like as 18 or 16-year-old startup. So I was like, and then that time I really knew like, oh, my idea is actually a potential. Like I really need to like get an idea and actually execute it.
Exactly. Well, that's going to be fun. Hopefully we'll get to work together soon, but would love to see more of those. And Millad, your entrepreneurial like spirit comes from, would you say, your dad?
My dad, yes.
Okay, so like because he was an entrepreneur.
Yes, it was just his story was really crazy when he told me about it, because when he came to Afghanistan again, he used to there was a type of bike we call the Chinese bike, so it was like these bicycles. He didn't have a car before, so he would get those and go to the clients' houses and say, look, we opened this property management, blah blah blah, talk to people, network, and then he started buying one car, and then that one car became 2 cars. So like seeing him how he processed it. And then when I was born, when I was like a child and he used to come from work, I would always wear his watch and then put on his blazer, and then I would just walk around. So I've always looked up to him. And then when I came to New Zealand and I saw that business and entrepreneurship is the best way to solve problem and get your voice out there. And as you know, the level of Islamophobia in America, European, and Australian continent has increased by 320% in past 5 years. So seeing that there has to be something done, like instead of just seeing these numbers grow. And recently there was a shooting in Germany as well into cafes that targeted Muslims. So seeing this really make us feel unwelcome and not secure and scared. You know, so there's something has to be done. So I think entrepreneurship and sharing your voice and problem solving is the best way to face it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with both of you. That's exactly the way forward. And that's why I'm particularly super excited about entrepreneurial spirits around the country, and I want to see more like diversity in our entrepreneurial ecosystem, because there's a lot of populations here that we need to tap into and bring the ideas out and put it to market. And I've noticed a lot of I would consider you younger millennials are working on ideas that actually solve proper human problems. It's not just about money, of course. Like money comes with working on the right things, I think. And it's great to like have your family supporting you, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah,
It takes a while.
It's hard for
Exactly.
It takes
Yeah.
a while to convince them to take a gap year.
Especially that, yeah. And then, I mean, your plan is, I guess, just test it out this year.
Fair
And
enough.
you're still young, and you can always do whatever you want, right?
Totally, yes.
Well, I mean, I think that's awesome. There's so many organizations now, like, that help integrate, you know, people that come here. And so I know, obviously, there's Empower Youth. We just talked about CoJam. There's also Tech Fugees, which is like a hackathon, I believe. And I think they're in Wellington. But anyway, we should probably, you know, spread their what they're doing. And then there's Mix It, which is super fun. Actually, you are involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to
Oh,
Mix It
both of
too.
you have? Okay, so Mix It is like the fun aspect of getting involved.
I guess
or-
it's Mixed as a project that uses contemporary arts to empower youth from refugee, migrant, and local backgrounds. And I've joined Mix It. It's been like over 2 years, and I've been a youth leader. So I've been, you know, through the processes of just, it was my first day and, you know, getting there. But I think it is an amazing example because, you know, yesterday actually we had a panel discussion about inclusiveness in our Auckland city. And I was like really thinking about how, you know, Auckland is not like, it is diverse, but it's not like inclusive. And whereas Mixer, we don't have the best urban, you know, design, and we don't have the best place to be. But when we're there, we're like most like, you know, include, like belong, you know, like we have that feeling. And it's about youth. Like we don't care about where we're from. We like drop that, or like there's like a saying we say in Mixer, like when we come in the door, we leave everything by the door and we just come in and we're just ourselves. We're just youth, right? And I actually Tech Fugees. I met the CEO of Tech Fugees at CoJam.
Yeah.
And she was amazing. Like she was just talking about how she wants to start probably, you know, a launch in Auckland possibly. And I was able to like network with her. And
Awesome.
she said some amazing stuff, and she was really empowering.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I guess there's a lot of organizations that support, you know, people from refugee backgrounds. But yeah, so I only know like some, which I've been there, and I've been actually a youth ambassador for ARCC. And me and Millad actually, we've been to the forum, like the youth forum for RAS New Zealand. Yeah, for 4 days, and it was really amazing because you see other people, you know, who are from the ethnic limbo kind of perspective, and then you can actually like, you know, relate to them in that sense. Yeah, it was really great.
Gosh. Okay, so there's a lot of ways that people can get involved, basically, and those are just some of the ways. And I think mentoring is one of the easiest ways as well. Like if you just have like a set amount of time, you can help mentoring through Empower Youth. But there's so many other. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you can talk to these two. But how do, before we wrap up, like how do people learn more about you and what you're doing, and also you?
Yeah, so about Atify, you can visit our website. It's called www.atify.store. A quick plug. And you can visit our social medias as well, Atify Kindness, or search up Atify on Facebook. And you can learn more about our project and things we do. And we've been to Middle East as well. We donated some books to Afghanistan and Iran.
That's
so
sweet.
kids learn English from Ali's first disco. So yeah, we have some cool things happening.
I love that. And you?
Well, you know, I haven't started my own business yet, but, you know, I'm on that first steps.
Yes.
So I guess my next steps are just with Athena organization. Maybe, like, we'll just take it a bit further and create these ideas in reality.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, like, check her
Check
Instagram.
it out. And of course, you've got your Instagram for illustrations. I
Yes,
believe.
elise.drawings.
Yeah.
They use, it's like, it's not just my experience, but other girls' experiences
That's awesome.
of being here, and some really, not cliche, but it's really like major problems that we do face here still. And I guess I use art as a tool to escape, you know, the reality and stuff.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Well, we both, all of us, have like a lot of things in common here: entrepreneurship, using content, art, storytelling, visual to tell our stories. So, thank you both for being here today.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we're gonna hang more, obviously, but I just really appreciate your story, and thank you to the Switch team and
Thank
everyone
you,
else.
Switch.
And that's it from us. Until next week, that's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
See ya.
All right. Okay.